Hello, good evening, everyone. I believe I'm. I believe I can be heard. Yeah. So if you can hear me, just let me know in the comment section so I know how to proceed. Right. You can hear me. If you can hear me, if I'm audible. Hello, good evening, everyone. So if you can, right. So someone just said I can be heard. Amazing. So we are going to start today's session. Surely, kindly let allow me some time to remind our people that we are live. Yes. So today we are going to talk about two interesting topics, and I would need rapt attention from you all. So please do all to stay. Yes, please make sure you are available to the end of this session. Right. Give me a minute. Let me remind them. Right. So we can proceed with what we have for today. Can proceed with what we have for today. Amazing. So first and most important, we would have to launch Jupyter Notebook because that is what we are using for this training. Yeah. So just go to your Windows, go to your Start menu and locate the Anaconda folder and select Jupyter Notebook. It's that simple. So once you do that, the terminal would open. Right. I'm doing this again because quite a number of us are still struggling to how we can launch Jupyter Notebook as at this point. So I would have to do it again so you guys get what I'm trying to say. So that is how to launch Jupyter Notebook. It's that simple. It would open a local host on your web browser, your active web browser. Right. Yeah. So let me quickly close this and let's dive in with what we have today. Let me locate my okay. All right. Sounds interesting. Right. So today we are going to talk about dictionaries and we are going to talk about conditional we're going to talk about conditional expression. So let me quickly launch that too. So we see how best we can handle it. Right. All right. Good. So let's quickly start with what we have for today. Today we are going to start with dictionaries. And when we talk about dictionary, what does it mean? In Python, what does it mean? So let's look at we are still working with data structures in Python. We are still working with data structures in Python, right? And last time I explained what data, we talked about data structures and we mentioned lists, tuples, sets, dictionaries. Dictionaries. So we are done with lists, tuples, and sets, and today we are going to tackle dictionaries. Right, good. So it's not going to be anything strange. I believe you guys can understand. Right, good. So all right, let's proceed. Now, when we talk about a dictionary in Python is an unordered mutable collection of key value pairs. Please let's take note of that. Let me quickly highlight this so you guys would see what I mean by that. So, key value pairs. Right. So, a dictionary in Python is an unordered mutable collection of key value pairs. Each key is unique and maps to a specific value. Think of it like a real world dictionary where a word maps to its definition. So I'd explain it in detail for you guys. Now, I highlighted something here, key value pairs. That is how to know that this particular data structure is a dictionary. So dictionaries have key value pairs, just like how we have our normal dictionaries. Realize that when you open the dictionary, you have a word. So you have a word, let's say explain, and then you have the words, the definition. You have the definition. So it is very simple. In 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 Python, you can analyze it this way. This is called the key, and this is called the what? The value. That is why we say it is called key value pairs. That is why we say it is called key value pairs. As simple as ABCD. Good. So that is how we can explain what dictionary is. Now let's quickly look at something very important here. Or the syntax for creating a dictionary. Now, you realize that when we were explaining lists, we said that when you're creating a list, you use square brackets. When you're creating a tuple, you use parentheses, that is open and close brackets, the curved ones. Then when you're creating sets, you use curly braces. Good. Now, when you are creating a dictionary, you also use curly brackets. Get it? You also use curly brackets. But then the only thing that differentiates a dictionary and a set is that dictionaries have key value pair, but then sets have just elements, just one element separated by commas. Please let's take note of that. Good. So that is how to create a dictionary in Python. So that is the syntax. Right. Good. So we are going to look at an example, right? We are going to look at an example, then we see how best it would work as. So let's get started. I mean, give me a minute. I think I would have to set. All right. Powerful. All right. So let's create our first dictionary. Let's create our first dictionary. So for you to create an empty dictionary, let's give it my dicts is equal to, now you realize that when you're creating when you're creating a dictionary, you use curly brackets. As simple as that. Now let's create another dictionary called students, or let me name it, yes, students. Right now, let me make a student. So once again, we said that dictionaries have key value pair. So note that the key we mostly use is the key is in the form of a string. You get it? So let's say we are creating a dictionary of a student containing the details of the student. So first we can give it the name. So name. So this will be the key. right? And what will be the value? So the value will be, let's say, Ella. You get it? So this is the first key. This is the first key value pair. Now the keys are separated with the keys are separated from the value. So this is the key and this is the value. Now keys are separated from values using colon. Please take note of that. Keys are separated from a value using a colon. As simple as that. So this is the first, this will be the first, this will be the first, this is a key value what? Key value, key value pair, right? Good. Now let's look at something. We would want to add an additional key value pair. So let's say the age. You get it? The key in a string, the age. Age, sorry, I made a mistake here. Pardon me for that. Ella is a string, so you have to put it in a string. Now, age is an integer, so you give it an integer. So let's say 23. And let's say program of study. So program, Let's say that one to also be a string. So let's say chemical engineering, chemical engineering, chemical engineering. As simple as that. So this is how to create a dictionary. This is how to create a dictionary in Python. Very, very simple. This is how to create a dictionary in Python. Now, dictionaries, the values can be of any type. The value can be of any type. So you can print, let's print students and let's see something. Get it? So this is it. It will print the dictionary. Now let's check the type of value, the variable type for students. You realize that it will return text, right? Which shows that it's a dictionary. As simple as that. Good. Now, the value can be of any data type. You can have Boolean, you can have even a list, you can have integer, you can have floats, blah blah blah. So let's create one and see. So let's create one and see. So let's say let's create a variable called mixed dictionary. Now, dictionaries are created using what? Curly brackets. But then they have key value pairs. So a mixed dictionary, let's say ID. Let's say ID. ID, let's give it ID, let's give it an integer. So 101. And let's create scores. 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 Colon. Now, scores is more like we are going to take a lot of figures, or yes, a lot of figures. So let's say 2, 3, 4. But you can't just do something like this in Python. It will return an error. So whenever you are collecting different data, whenever you have a collection, but then you want to make it an entity, you want to make it a unit, use a list. So put this into a list. So the values could also be what? A list. The value could also be a list. Now, let's add one key which is called active. Is the person active? Yes, you can set true or false. You get it? Good. And let's say let's create another key which is called average. Average. And let's give it 45.6. So realize that dictionaries, let's print this. Realize that when we print mixed mixed dictionary, mixed dict, it will give us an output. It will not return an error. So it means that dictionaries can actually, their value types can be different. This is an integer. This is a list. This value is a list. This is a Boolean value. And this is what? A float. So let's take note of that. It is that simple. Let's take note of that. Now, we are going to look at how we can access how we can access dictionary values. So For you to access dictionary values, use the key to access its value. Please take note. Use the key. Let me highlight this so you guys can get to see. Use the key to access its value. If the key doesn't exist, you will get a key error unless you use a save method like .get. Right. So let's look at how we can access values in a dictionary. Good. So let's create a dictionary called students and let's input the details. So once again, when you are creating dictionaries, you use curly brackets. So the first key, let's give it name. Let's give it name. So name. So name colon. Please remember colon. Then let's give it, let's say Sonia, comma. So this is the first key value pair. Now the second one, we can take the age. So age, let's give her 24. Let's give her 24. 24, comma. And what else? Let's take her major or program, anything you want to use. Let's give her computer science. Computer science is a string, so put it in quotes. Good. So this is we've created a dictionary containing the details of a student, right? Now we are going to do something very important here. We are going to access some values from the dictionary. And how do we do that? We said for you to access a value in a dictionary, you have to use the key to access the value. You have to use a key to access the value. So realize that yesterday when I was explaining how to access elements in a list, I mentioned that you type the name of the variable, then you put the index in the, let me see if I can open that real quick. Yes, I think I explained that yesterday. Let me quickly go through so that you guys can get the reference. So you realize that when we're accessing elements, we typed the variable name and we placed the index in square brackets. That is how we're able to access some of the elements in a list, because we said that lists are ordered. Lists are ordered. So if lists are ordered, it means that they maintain their insertion order, hence they would have an index. Realize that when we're talking about sets, we said that sets, they are unordered. It means the elements do not maintain their insertion order, so they do not have indices. They don't have indices. You get it? Good. Now, same thing applies here when you want to access an element, when you want to access a value in a dictionary. This time around, when we defined dictionary, we said that a dictionary is an unordered. So because it's unordered, we can't use index or we can't use indices to identify or access a value in a dictionary. So what we do is, for you to access a value in a dictionary, you have to use the key. Do you get it? So if you want to access Sonia, you have to use the keyword name. So it is that simple. If you want to access Sonia, first type the variable name. Which dictionary are you working with? The student. Now bring your square brackets, and what is the key? The key is what? Name. So when you run this, you are getting an error. It said Sonia is not defined. Sonia is not defined. Interesting. Okay. Now let's try it this way. Is it I'm the one making a mistake? Okay, let's sometimes you do run into errors, and I think student name Sonia. Okay, let me fix the code. Let me see. Okay, let's try and fix the code. The error occurs because you are trying to use Sonia as a variable, but it should be a string. Oh, okay. Yes. Thanks for the reminder. We made a mistake here. Sonia is a string, so you have to put it in quotes. That is why it said it's not defined. You see, it's not that you don't know it. Oh. There are petty mistakes you can make when it comes to programming. That is why you have to know. Good. I think someone. Oh yes, I think people answered me. Thank you very much. It means you guys are understanding. Wow, 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 wow. I love this. I love this. You guys are understanding it. So Muritala and Frances Comedy, you were able to help me debug this code, right? That is amazing. So you when you do this, you are able to get the value Sonia, right? Now we said that use a key to access its value. If the key doesn't exist, you will get a key error unless you use a save method like .get. So .get is also another way you can use to access a value in the dictionary. So for us to do it the same way, we can just type the name of the variable storing the dictionary. So student dot, then we use what? Get. Open and close brackets. Now, what are we trying to get? We are trying to get the value of what? Name. So put it in quotes. You can see that it gives you the output. You get it? It gives you the output. So you can use this method or you can use this method to access values in a dictionary. It is that simple. It is that simple. Now, let's try something. Let's try something. When you try accessing, you see in this dictionary, there is no key called grade. So when you do students and you try and access grade, you try and access grade, try and access grade, you get a key error. So you can see the key error here. So the key error is trying to say that there is no key like grade in students. You get it? So in this case, we said that use the key to access its value. If the key doesn't exist, you get a key error unless you use a save method like .get. So .get is quite safe when you don't want to print out, when you don't want this error to show on the console. So you can actually do student.get. What are you trying to get? Grade. Grade. Now let's run this. Now let me print this out. Now you realize that when you print this, the output is none. So with get is safe, just like what we are saying here, unless a safe method like get. So get doesn't return an error. It tells you that there's nothing like that. There's nothing like that in the dictionary. So for you to maybe in a case where you want to grab a value using the key, but then it's not found, you can instead of producing none on the console, you can actually replace it with something you would want it to display. So grade, comma, if it's not there, return not found instead of none. So you can actually change it. It's just a string. You can put anything there. You can put elements not in the dictionary there. So realize that because it's not here, you see what's not found. But then if you put name here and you run it, you see Sonia. Because Sonia is here. Sonia is the value for this key. So it will not print not found. It will only print not found if there is a case where the key is not found in the dictionary. So this is how practical the get method is, and I believe it's very simple to understand. Right now, we said that a dictionary is an unordered, mutable collection. When we say mutable, mutable means it can be changed. So mutable means what? So we said mutable means it can be what? It can be changed. So it means that we can modify the elements, or let's say we can modify what is being contained in a dictionary. As simple as that. Right. So yes, let's continue. All right. So the next one is modifying a dictionary. Dictionaries are mutable, so you can add, update, or remove key value pairs. It is that simple. So let's say I want to add a new key value pair. Because dictionary is mutable, you can add. Do you get it? So let's print out let's print out students so that this is the dictionary we are working with. In some cases, you would want to add, let's say grade. Let's add grade. So for you to add, it's that simple. Just call the variable storing the dictionary, which is what students, and do it as if you are accessing the the value using the key. So type it, type the name grade, and set it to be equal to the grade you are looking for. So you get it. Now, when you do this, it means that you've called when you do this, right? You realize that initially when we were trying to access this, we were not setting it to anything. We didn't bring equal to something. That is why it was returning an error. But then as soon as you set it equal to this, it means that you are trying to add new key value pair in a dictionary. So now when you print students, this will be the output. The output will now be name Sonia, age 24, major computer science, grade A. So when you do this, what happens is that this now becomes the key, and this now becomes what? The value. So this key value pair will be added to the dictionary, which is this. You get it? So that is how you can add something to a dictionary. It is that simple. Right. Good. So let's quickly continue with what we have. Let's quickly continue with what we have. Now we also want to update an existing key. So here, age is what? 24. So if you want to update 24 to, let's say, 21, it is that simple. Just access age. Just access age. So just access age. Just access age and set it to the new value you want to update it to, 21. So now when you print students, it gives me name Sonia, age 21. So the you have updated the value of age. Now, in some cases too, you'd want to delete or you'd want to remove a key value pair. If you want to remove a key value pair, you use the Python keyword called del. So del is more like short form of delete. So you use the Python keyword called what? Del in small letters. You get it? So let's try that out. Let's try that out. All right. Okay. So I want to delete this key value pair. Um I want to delete major and computer science. This key value pair. I want to delete this key value pair. This particular key value pair. This particular key value pair. I want to delete this one. So first you use the del. Realize that once you type it changes to green, showing that it's a Python keyword. So del, what do you want to delete? I want to delete is I want to remove this key value pair. But then note that whenever you are performing modifications, whenever you are operating, right, you want to modify something, you deal with the keys. So once again, type the variable storing the dictionary and input the what? The key. So once you do this, it will delete the key value pair. So now let's print students. Let's see what happens. Now you realize that major computer science, it has now disappeared from here. Very, very simple, right? Good. So this is how to modify, this is what you can do to modify a dictionary. Now we have dictionary methods as well. Just like how we had list methods, tuple methods, and all that. Right now, let me print the current dictionary we are working with so that you guys don't get confused. You want to access all the keys. So when you check this dictionary, the keys we have are name, age, and what? Grade. So when you want to access all the keys, use this. So use dot what? Keys. Open and close brackets. Right. So just type type the so once you do this, it will return the keys for you. Please note that it is keys. So let's make it better. Let's wrap the print function around it. Let's wrap the print function around it. So this is what you get, right? Now, when you want to access all the I was able to do this shortcut. You come, let me try something out. Ah, okay, works now. Works now. I've been able to figure it out. Good. So this is how to access all the keys. Sometimes you would want to access all the values. So with that one, you just use dot values to do that. So student dot values, open and close bracket. When you run it, you get the output, right? Now, once again, we are using Jupyter Notebook. So Jupyter Notebook, one thing about Jupyter Notebook is even if you don't wrap around the print function, it will print it. But when you're using IDEs like PyCharm, you have to wrap the print function around it before you can print the output to the console. You get it? So basically, that's the same thing. Now, let's look at how we can access the entire key value pairs. Let's see how we can access the entire key value pairs. It is that simple. So the what you use is dot items. So this is the method to use, dot items. So it would give you the key value pairs. To give you the key value pairs, to give you all the key value pairs in the dictionary. Now there's another method called dot copy. So dot copy will create a duplicate of the original dictionary. So the original dictionary is student. So when we want to create a copy of it, so let's name it student copy, right? So you wrap it around it, student dot what copy. Now when you print student copy, when you just type student copy, you get the output. So student copy, and let me see some. Let's add student. So student copy, we've now created a copy of the first um dictionary, which is student. We've created a copy of it. So sometimes the reason why you create a copy is because sometimes you want to create a duplicate of the original dictionary and make some operations on it. You don't want the operation to affect the original dictionary, because maybe later on you would have to compare them and see how you can analyze and make your work easier. You get it? So you can actually create a copy of it. And you can also clear a dictionary. So to clear a dictionary, you just use the clear keyword. So sorry, yes, the clear method. So let's say I want to clear everything in student copy. So student copy this particular dictionary, right? Dot clear, dot clear. So when you run student copy, let me print it so that you guys. Okay, you realize that when you clear it, the dictionary is now empty, because the clear removes everything in the dictionary. So that is it. Now, when we get to loops, I'll teach you guys how to iterate. So you can loop through keys, values, or key value pairs. So when we get to loops, I would explain this concept to you guys very well. Right. Now we have another concept called nested dictionary. So nested. Now when we say nested is more like something embedded into the other. Right. So something has been nested into. If you say something has been nested, it means that it has been embedded. It is found under it. You get it. So dictionaries can contain other dictionaries or complex data structures. So dictionaries can contain other dictionaries. So let's create one nested dictionary. So let's say this is a nested dictionary. Now, this is what we are going to do. We are going to create a dictionary called university, and we'll now put in details of two different students. So first, university will be a what? A dictionary. So let's type open and close brackets. Now, sorry, curly brackets. Now put the mouse pointer in the middle and hit enter. It would indent it very well for you. You can see the indentation. Please note, you can see the indentation. It's very, very important. Now, for you to create a nested dictionary, right, you would have to give a specific name to each dictionary. So let's say this is student one, right? Make sure that it is in the form of what? A string. So student one. Good. Give it what? Colon. Please take note. Give it a colon. And now you can continue with the next. You can continue with the dictionary you want to nest it into this university dictionary. So you can now create the dictionary. So now you know that dictionaries have what? Key value pairs. Dictionaries have key value pairs. Now let me explain. I'll explain it in detail for you. So name. Let's say Godsonic. Age. Is I won't put my age. I won't put my actual age there. Let me put 89. Let me put 89 there. And let's say, okay, let's just use this too. Right. Now, you have to bring a comma. I'll explain it to you. Another key. So let's say student student 2. Hold on. If you guys really understood what a dictionary is, you get what I'm trying to do. Name. Name. GAD. Comma. Age. Let me give GAD. Let me give GAD 21. All right. So you realize that this is called a nested dictionary. Now you realize that when we were explaining what a dictionary is, we said dictionary has what? Key value what? Pair. Key value pair. So it means that when you are creating a nested dictionary, see, this alone is one dictionary. This alone is another dictionary. We are saying that dictionaries do have what? Key value pair. So it means that when you are nesting this dictionary into this main dictionary, university, this main dictionary, university, you have to give it the key. So this will be the key. This student one will be the key, and this one will be the what? The value. Do you get it? The student two will be the other key, and this one will also be what? The value. Right. Good. Now look at something. You realize that I mentioned that you separate key and value with what? Colon. With a colon. With a colon. So this is one. This is a key. This is a key. Now, the only thing that is changing for you to make it a nested dictionary is that the value which the key is taking is a dictionary on its own. It's a dictionary on its own. And note that in dictionaries, we also have what? Key value pairs. So that is what I just did here. So this is how to create a nested dictionary. It is that simple, right? Very, very simple. So this is how to create a nested dictionary. You can try your hands on more examples. I believe it will be fine with you, right? Good. So the last concept we have when it comes to dictionaries, I created some notes here for you. You guys can read later on. It's just an additional note for you guys to understand, dictionary better. Now we are moving to one of the most interesting concepts. We are moving to one of the most interesting concepts in Python programming. And trust me, you need to pay attention very well because here we are going to deal with logic. We are going to deal with logic. We are going to deal with logic. So please pay close attention to whatever I'm about to say. Right now, we are going to look at something we call conditionals, conditional expressions, conditional expressions in Python. So let me quickly open the Jupyter notebook and let's work from there. Right. So we have our new notebook called Conditional Expressions. Right. Now, let me quickly tell you something. Let me quickly tell you a story. Let's say you are stuck between decisions, right? And you have to come up with the best solution. Now, your solution would have to solve the problem in such a way that when the when the condition is false, you know what to do. When the condition is true, you know what to do. And so basically, all conditions break down into two different values, true or false. And true or false are Boolean values. So here you are going to work with conditionals. And what do we mean by that? Now, what are conditionals? Conditionals in Python lets your program make decisions by executing different code blocks based on whether a condition is true or false. So think of them like a fork in the road. Depending on the situation, your program takes one path or another. So sometimes there are a lot of conditions that you have to solve. So you break it down into either the condition is true or either the condition is false. So if the condition is true, do this for me. If the condition is false, do this for me. Right? So that is what we are going to do here. And it requires a lot of logic. So please do what to take your time and understand it very well. Now, these are some of the keywords we are going to use in this module. So we have if, small letters, elif, and else. So if it checks a condition, elif is a short form for else if, and checks additional conditions if previous ones are false, and else is default action if all conditions are false. I'll explain it in detail to you, don't worry. Now, in conditions, we have expressions that evaluate to true or false. Using operators like, realize that when we were talking about operators, let me see if I can see the file, if I can get the file. Let me see if I can get a file. So we see um intro to Python. We spoke about operators. We spoke about the equality operator. We spoke about not equal to. We spoke about greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. Right. I think we did that. So yes, when we're talking about the operators, we talked about assignment operators. We talked about um we talked about logical operators. We talked about logical operators. So logical operators, we have greater than or equal to, less than. We have and so we have and or not. So these are some of the logical operators. And I'm looking for one particular one. Yes, we have comparison operators. Yes, sorry. So this is equal, this is not equal to, this is greater than or equal, less than or equal. Right. So these are comparison operators. So we are going to use comparison operators and logical operators a lot when we are working with conditionals, conditional expressions. So please take note of that. Right. Yes. And indentation. So indentation. Python uses indentation, that is four spaces. So tap on your space bar four times to group a code that should run together under a conditional. So I would explain that, don't worry. So let's look at the basic if statement. Now, an if statement checks a single condition. Please take note. It checks a single condition and runs a block of code if it's true. So what happens is that when you use an if statement, it will just analyze one single condition. The condition is true, it will run a block of code. So let's look at it. So let's say we have a number. Number is equal to 10. Now we want to say, let's say we we want to write a program That will say it will say the value is greater than 10. Now let me set this to 11. Let me set this to 11. Now we are going to create a basic if statement. We are going to create a basic if statement. Now, for you to create an if statement, just type in small letters if. Realize that it will change towards green. Good. Now, the next thing that follows it is the condition. The next thing that follows it is the condition. So, what is the condition? Now, if the number is greater than 10, if the number is greater than 10, then we can print this. The value is greater than 10. So, if the number is greater, if the number is greater than 10, so note this. Note this. This is the if keyword. This is the if keyword. This this is the condition. This is the condition. This is the condition. Now let me show you something. Now, as soon as you are done, you end with what? A colon. As soon as you are done, you end with a colon. So let's look at the syntax. Let's look at the syntax. Let's look at the syntax. So this is the syntax you use. First, use the if keyword. So if keyword, use the if keyword. Now this is what? The condition. And this is what? The colon. So this is the syntax. This is the syntax to use. This is the syntax to use. Good. Let me quickly delete this. Now you realize that as soon as you hit enter, after you bring the colon and you hit enter, you would have an indentation here. You would have an indentation here. So the indentation is more like the block of code would be under this if statement. So that is what will be executed once you run the code. So if the number is greater than 10, print this. The number is greater than 10. It's simple as that. So the number is equal to what? We set number to be equal to 11. So this condition executes to what? This condition will be true. This condition will be true because number is what? 11, and 11 is greater than 10. So when you execute this, when you run this, let's run this. You see the output will be what? The number is greater than 10 because you are saying that the if statement would the if statement checks a single condition and runs a block of code if it's true. So if the condition is true, it will run the block of code. So the block of code is the code that starts with the indent that starts after the indentation. Let's take note of that. Now let's try and change this to 5. Now, is 5 greater than 10? No, it is false. So this condition is what? False. So if the condition is false, the if statement would not execute. So if statement will not execute. Take note of that. The if statement will not execute. If statement will not execute. So let's run the cell and see something. Realize that nothing was run. Like it's just there. Nothing came. Nothing came. You get it? Now this introduces us to else. This introduces us to else. So an else clause runs a block of code if the if condition is false. Do you get it? So the else statement is more like the else clause is more like an additional or an alternative action if the if the if if the if condition is false. Because you realize that here when you run the code, 5, the number here is what? 5. The number here is what? 5. 5 is 5 greater than 10? No. 5 is not greater than 10. So this is what? False. So the it means that the cell will not print anything, because we said the if statement would only run if the condition is true. Good. So now, if in the case where we have else, in the case where we have false, that is when you introduce a else statement. Please note that when you type the else under this, if you type the else under this, it would analyze it as part of this code. So you have to leave the indentation. You have to move outside the indent. Right? You have to move outside the indent and write the else statement. You get it? So else. So else doesn't take any condition because it's an alternative action. So else print. So else you don't add any condition. Else, because else is specific, it will only run for conditions that are false. So else print the number is not greater than 10. The number is not greater than 10. Good. So let's try and run this and see something. This will print the number is not greater than 10, because first we realize that when we're explaining Python, we said that Python is an interpreter language. So it will run the code line by line. So first it will check this line. Okay, now number is equal to 5. Good, I've gotten this. And it will now move on to the next line. If number is greater than 10, print this. Now, is number greater than 10? No, it is false. Now, it is an if statement, so it would not execute. If statement would only run if the if condition is true. So it will now move on to the next what? Line. The next line is what? Else. Now, else would run if the condition is false. So the output will be what? The number. Let me correct that. The number. The number is not greater than 10. So now let's set this to 67. Is 67 is 67 greater than 10? Yes, so this is what it will do. 67 is greater than 10, so it is what? True. So the first line will just run and it will leave the second line. So it will run, the number is greater than 10. So this is how to work with if else statements. This is how to work with if else statements. Good. Now, um, oh, I was supposed to run this. I was supposed to run this code here, but it's not a problem. No problem. All right. Now let's look at the next concept. We are introducing if-elif-else. This ladder. This ladder is an interesting one. Trust me, you would understand it very well. Now, elif. Let me confirm. Elif. Elif means else if. So let me see if I'm right. I don't want to make a mistake. Full form of elif. Full form of elif. Yes. So the full form of elif is else if. The full form of elif is else if. Now let's look at it here. Realize that when we're explaining if, we say that the yes, an if statement checks a single condition. Please take note. It checks what? A single condition. It checks what? A single condition. It checks a single condition. Single. 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 Are you single? Interesting. So an if statement checks a single condition and runs. Now, in a case where we have multiple conditions that are true, multiple conditions that are true, because we said the if statement would run if the condition is true, right? And else would run if the entire condition is false. So what if, and we are saying that if statement would only checks for a single condition. But what if we have multiple conditions? What if we have multiple conditions that are true? Multiple conditions that are true. That is when elif comes in. So elif comes in when you have multiple conditions that are true, because the if statement would only check a single condition. That is true, and run it. But elif would allow you to work with multiple conditions that are true. Simple as ABCD, right? Good. So let's try the elif statement. Now let's say we want to write a simple program to write a simple program that classifies numbers into positive, positive, negative, and zero. Into positive, negative, and zero. So first we can set the number to anything. So let's say number is equal to zero, right? Now we are going to have a condition. If the number is greater than zero, if the number is greater than zero, if the number is greater than zero, it's what? Is what? Positive. Let's draw the number line. You have a number line, right? Here is zero, here is positive, here is negative. So if the number is greater than zero, then we print the number is positive. If the number is less than zero, we print the number is negative. Else, you see, we have three conditions here. This is the first condition, this is the second condition. The third condition is when you don't have positive and you don't have negative. So when you don't have positive and you don't have negative, what do you have? You have zero. So that would be the last option. So the last option is when both the first condition and the second condition are false. So if this is false and this is false, what will be the only option left? The only option left will be zero. Do you get it? So we are going to write a program that will do this classification. This is why Python is interesting. This is why programming is interesting, right? Good. So if the number is greater than zero, print print the number is positive. The number is positive. You get it? Good. So we are done with this block. Now, there is another condition that could be true. Do you get it? That is when you want to get the negative. In that case, you can't use if, because you said if checks for what? Only a single condition. So when you have multiple conditions that are true, that is when you use what? Elif. So elif number is less than what? Zero. So if the number is less than zero, print what? Print the number is negative. The number is negative. The number is negative. You get it? Now, once all these conditions are false, because see, we mentioned that if is what? Single condition, and would only execute if the condition is what? True. Now we are saying that elif is for what? Multiple conditions that are what? True. So multiple conditions that are true. Do you get it? Good. So that's when we use elif. Now, the last option is when all of them are what? False. When all of them are false, that is when you use what? That is when you use what? Else. So else doesn't have a condition because else is specified for what? For false conditions, right? For false conditions. Good. So let's quickly analyze it. So we say that if all the conditions are false, then it means that please you have to move outside, because when you type it in the indent, it will analyze it as part of this condition. So you have to move out. So else doesn't take any condition because it will execute what? Specifically false conditions. So print the number is what? The number is what? Zero. The number is zero. So let's run this and see. Let's set this to 1. Now, when Python is executing this program, when it's running this program, it will run it line by line. First, the number is equal to what? 1. Now, is the number greater than 0? Yes, because 1 is greater than 0. So to execute this, it will run this. It will run this and forget the rest. So let's run this. So it will run, the number is what? Positive. The number is positive. Now, let's look at this. Let's move on to -5. Now, -5, this is how Python would analyze this is how Python will run it. First, it will do it line by line. Number is -5. Is number greater than -5? No. Negative -5 is not greater. It's not greater than it's not greater than 0. So this condition is what? False. Now we said that the if block of code would only run if it is what? True. Right? So this would not run. This would not run. This would not run. Now it will move on to the next line. Now we said that elif is also true. Elif would also run when the condition is true. Do you get it? Good. So elif, is the number less than 0? Yes, the number is less than 0 because -5 is less than 0. Yes, -5 is less than 0. So when you run this code, realize that because this is true, it would execute this and leave the rest. So the number is what? Negative. Now, let's set number to 0. Now, when we set number to 0, the number is what? 0. Because first, is 0 greater than 0? No. False. Elif, is 0 less than 0? False. So this is false, this is false. So it would execute the the block of code that tells us that, or it would execute the block of code that runs for false statement, which is this. So the number is what? 0. As simple as ABCD. So this is how to work with the the if, elif, and else. And please note that it's in the form of a ladder. It's in the form of a ladder. So if comes first. So if comes first, followed by what? Elif, and then what? Else. Please take note of the syntax, right? Good. So this is how to deal with if, elif, and else, right? Good. Gradually, we are getting to the end of today's session. Now, multiple if statements. So multiple if statements are separate checks, each evaluated independently, so multiple blocks can run if their conditions are true. So let's look at multiple if statements. Let's check. Let's do this. I think this is quite work on. Let's do this. Let's check. Let me put it in a conversational form. Let's say we want to check the want to check multiple. Oh yes. We can use a range. Someone typed in the comment section. Please, can we use a range for the condition? Yes, you can use range. We'll get there. Don't worry. Yeah. So let's say we want to check properties, multiple properties of a number. So let's say number. Let's say number is equal to 15. Right now, you know that you know that there are different properties of numbers, right? You can check if the number is positive, if the number is an even number, or yes. So in a case where you want to check multiple properties, you use multiple if statements. Do you get it? So let's say if the number if the number is greater than 0, colon, print print the number is positive. Print the number is positive. Right. Now let's get out of the indentation. Now, so this is the first if statement. Now, because we are checking for multiple properties, we use the multiple if statement. So here we are not going to use elif. We are going to use another if. So if the number modulus 2, number modulus 2 It's equal to, I would explain this, don't worry. It's equal to 0, colon, colon, print, print, print the number is even. I'll explain this after I'm done writing the code. So look at something. There's another property, right? This is another property. So modulus, we said that we use modulus, percentage sign, right? So the percentage sign. So the percentage sign is what? Modulus. So modulus is more like after you're done dividing a number by another number, the remainder, right? So the remainder. So let's say 4 modulus 2 is equal to what? Is equal to 0. Because when you divide 4 by 2, you get what? You get 2. Remainder what? 0. But then 5 modulus 2 is equal to what? Is equal to 1. Because when you divide 5 by 2, you get 2. Remainder what? 1. Because 2 times 2 is what? 4. Remainder 1. You get it? Good. So here we are saying that number modulus 2. Now, when you see double equal to is a comparison operator, which is the what? Equal. You get it? Equal. Now, we said that if you have x double equal to y, it's a comparison operator. It will compare if x is equal to what? Y. Now, it is different from this one. This one is variable assignment. Variable assignment. Variable assignment, you just use one equal to. But then the double equal to is a comparison operator. It will check if x is equal to what? Y. So if you do number modulus 2 equal to 0, it means that this is a whole condition on its own. This is also another condition on its own. So this double equal to will check if this is equal to this. So if you divide a number, if you find a modulus and it's equal to 0, it means it is even. Because when I do 4 modulus 2, the remainder, when I divide 4 by 2, the answer is what? 2. Remainder was 0. When I do 6 modulus 2, it is 0. 0. So even numbers, when you want to know an even number, when you take a modulus by 2, you get a remainder of 0. You get it? So when you take a modulus by 2, you get a remainder of 0. So when we do this, we say it's what? Even. Right. Now, another instance is when, let's get out of the and let's say if number is if number is greater than 10. Number is greater than 10. Let's add print the number is greater than 10. Good. So now let's run this. You see, when we run this, it actually printed multiple things for us. So you actually use multiple if statements when you have multiple properties. So first one, let's make our analysis. Let's make our analysis. Let's make our analysis. The number is equal to what? 15. Is the number greater than 0? Yes, the number is greater than 0. So it is true. So this one we will execute. We said that the if statement only runs if the condition is true. So you realize that the number is positive was printed, right? Now let's look at here. If number modulus 2 is equal to 0, now 15 modulus 2, is it equal to 0? No, 15 modulus 2 is 1. Because when I divide 15 by 2, I'll get 7. Remainder what? 1. So let me confirm. It's kind of my mind is full right now. Yes, 15 modulus 2. Yes. Yes, good. So I'm right. I'm right. So the remainder when 15 is divided by 2, how to solve? Divide 15 by 2 and find the remainder. When you divide 15 by 2, you get what? 7 with a remainder. So you calculate the remainder. The remainder when 15 is divided by 2 is 1. So it means that 15 modulus 2 is what? 1. As simple as ABCD. So 1 is not equal to 0. So you have here to be 1. When you solve this side, you have here to be 1. Is it equal to 0? No, it is not. So this side is false. So it means that this side is what? False. So this side would not run. This side would not run. That is why you don't see the number is even here. But then is 15 greater than 10? Yes, 15 is greater than 10. So this is true. So this one would what? Run. Right. Good. So that is why you have the number is positive and the number is greater than 10. So in a case where we change this to in a case where we change this to 12. Now, when we run this, we get all the three outputs. Let's analyze it. Let's analyze it. Let's analyze it. Now, the number was equal to what? Number was equal to 12. Good. Now, is the number 12 greater than 0? Yes, it is true. So, this would what? Run. That is why you can see the number is positive. Now, 12 modulus 2. Is 12 modulus 2 equal to 0? Yes. 12 modulus 2 is 6. Remainder what? 0. So the answer is what? 0. So 0 is equal to what? 0. So this is true. So this would run. That is why you can see the number is even. Because actually, in actual sense, 12 is even. Now the next condition is 12 greater than 10? Yes. 12 is greater than 10. So this would run. That is why you can see what? The number is greater than 10. So this is how interesting. Python is very simple. You can actually write complex codes with complex logic and conditions, and it would work for you. Right? Good. So that is it for this particular section. Yes. Now the next one we have, which I believe would probably be nested conditionals. Hey, please, this one, please pay attention very, very well. Nested conditionals. When I was explaining the nested dictionary, some people were confused, I know, but I was able to clarify it well. Right. So now let's look at nested dictionaries. Sorry, nested conditionals. You can put conditionals inside other conditionals to handle more complex decisions, like checking multiple properties in a specific order. Now let's look at an example. Let's look at an example to explain that in detail. Now, let's say let's say we want to check let's say we want to check let's say we want to check if a number is positive and even. So we have two things here we have to do. We are checking if the number is positive, and we are also checking if the number is even at the same time. So yes, so let's try that. Let's try that. Let me create a cell below. All right. All right. So first, let's define our number. So let's say number is equal to 4, right? Now, we are checking if the number is what? We are checking if the number is even. We are checking if the number is even and positive. Good. So if the number is greater than 0, we say it is what? If the number is greater than 0, it is even. We all know that. Sorry. If the number is greater than 0, it is positive. If the number is greater than 0, it is positive. Please, let's take note of that. Now, because we are doing these two things at the same time, we are doing these two things at the same time. We are checking if it is positive and even. So the first thing you can do is, right, when we do number greater than zero, it means if it is true, then it means the number is what? Positive, because we have zero here, we have negative here. If the number is greater than zero, it is what? Positive. Now, if we have been able to do positive, we can now embed to continue finding for the even. You get it? That is where nested conditionals comes into play. Right. So let me explain what I mean by that to you. So number is what? If the number is greater than zero, we know it is what? Positive. So if the number is greater than zero, continue to do something. Now realize that we have an indent here. So you consider the conditional statement in the indent. So we can now create another thing. So if the number is greater than zero and the number modulus 2 is equal to 0. Good. Because when you do modulus 2 and is equal to 0, it means it is what? Even. So you print what? Print print the number is positive. I'll explain. And even. I'll explain. Don't worry. Don't worry, I'll explain. Else, please note that the else is on the same indent. Please note the same indent is on the same line. It's on the same line. It's on the same line. Please let's note of the indentation. It's on the same line. It's on the same line. Good. All right, let's continue. We'll change the amount point. Okay, good. Else, print the number is positive but odd. The number is positive. The number is positive but odd. I'll explain it. Don't worry. Let's close this. Now, when we bring this back to this line, this if line, else print the number is not positive. I'll explain it to you guys. Don't worry, don't worry. The number is not positive. Explain it to you guys. All right. So now let's look at something. Let's analyze this carefully. Let's analyze this carefully. We are saying that we want to check if a number is positive and even at a go. Do you get it? So when we give you the number, we want to know at a go at once if the number is positive and even. So this introduces the concept of nested conditionals. So if the number is greater than 0, you know that when you have the number line, here is what? Negative, here is 0, here is what? Positive. So if the number is greater than 0, it is what? Positive. So if this is true, it will move on to the next line. The next line is we have an indentation here, right? With another conditional. So because we are nesting, we are actually putting this conditional under this. It introduces the concept of what? Nested. Nested what? Conditionals. Because we have conditions under different conditions. You get it? Good. So we are saying that if the number is greater than 0, which is positive, and it's true, move on to do the next thing. So we have now tackled the positive aspects. Now we want to tackle the even aspects. Now, once again, if the number modulus 2 is equal to 0, you know modulus 2, if you divide any even number by 2, the remainder is 0. So if this is true, it will proceed to do what? The next thing. So you can see another indentation here. You can see another indentation here, right? You can see another indentation here. You see another indentation here, right? Good, good. Now, let me color the indentation so that's it. to see what I'm good. Now look at something. Look at something. Print the number is positive and even. Now, we said that if conditions would only run if the condition is true. So if this one is true, we can say the number is what? Positive and even, because we have two true conditions here. So it will run both things for you. So if here is true and here is true, then it means that the number is positive and what? The number is what? Even as well. So you print the number is positive and the number is even. But if it checks here, well, the number is greater than 0, correct? This side is true. But then it gets to this point and checks and it becomes false. That is when it would execute this else. You realize that this else and this if are on the same line. So it would print the number is positive, but what? Odd. Because if you divide a number by 2 and the modulus is not equal to 0, then probably the number is an odd number. So that is why you can see the number is positive and even, and the number is positive but odd. But then if here, this whole thing, this first condition, as soon as it executes to false, it will not even bother to check these things, the conditions in the nested loop. It will not even bother to check it. As soon as it starts now and you see that here is false, it will directly move to execute this. It will directly move and execute this. And if the number is not greater than 0, then it means it was negative. So the number is what? It's not positive. So let's try and run it and see. You can actually take your time to rewatch this part of the lesson and understand it carefully. So let's run this code and see if it's working. Um, let's run this code. Good. Now, when we run this code, let me quickly explain again. So now the number is what? The number is what? 4. Let's move on to the next line. Is the number greater than 0? Yes. So it is what? True. Now, if it is true, it will move on to the next line. The next line is what? If number modulus 2 is equal to 0. Now, is 4 modulus 2 equal to 0? Yes. 4 divided by 2 is what? 2, remainder 0. So modulus is 0. So this side is also what? True. So now if this is true, it will now print the next thing in the line. So it will print the number is positive and even. So because this is true and this is also true, it will print what? The number is positive and what? Even. Right. Now let's look at another way. Let me change this to 11. Let's run it. Now, first, for us to analyze this, yes, the number is greater than 0. This is true. So to move on to the next block of code. This is the next block of code. This is the next block of code. The next block of code. Now, is 11 modulus 2 equal to 0? No. 11 modulus 2 is what? 1. 11 divided by 2 is 5. Remember what? 1. So this is not equal to. It's not equal to. So this is false. So this side is what? False. So once it is false, it would not run the if statement, but then it will run the else statement in it. The else statement in that block, in that specific block. Because here was true. Here was true. So it made us focus on this block of code. So to run it else, it will not run this else. Please note that. Once this is true, it will move into the next block, which is the next indent. So here, when you run this, realize that your output will be the number is positive but what? Odd. The number is positive but odd because 11 is what? Positive because it's greater than 0. But then it doesn't meet this condition. So it doesn't make it even. So it will print this. The number is positive but odd. Let's try negative 4. Let's try negative 4. Now, negative 4 is simple. Negative 4 is simple. Now, is negative 4 greater than 0? No. Negative 4 is not greater than 0. Negative 4 is not greater than 0. So here is what? False. So as soon as it's false and it's if statement, all this thing will not what? Execute. All this thing here will not execute. It will move directly to the else statement and print what? The number is not positive. So let's run it and see. The number is, we are getting an error. Print is not defined. Print is not defined. Oh, sorry, I used capital P. So small p. Right. So the number is what? Not positive. As simple as ABCD. Right. Good. So this is a concept that, see, it's very interesting. This is where the thinking comes in. The first ones that we were doing, strings and boolean input list, those ones are things you have to know. Like, I mean, things you have to know in programming. But when it comes to conditional expressions, you have to know the syntax and you have to think. You get it? Yes. So that is conditional expressions. We have instances where you would want to use logical operators in conditionals. So you see this one, in this condition, one, we just use one comparison operator, right? We just use comparison operators. So just one. But then sometimes you want to use logical operators like and not to combine conditions. Do you get it? So you see, when you are writing a sentence, we say Kofi and Ama are going to school. So in Python, these logical operators help you combine conditions. So they help you combine conditions. You get it? Good. So they help you combine conditions. The first conditions that we're working with are just single conditions. Like, I mean, just single conditions. So they were just single conditions. Number greater than zero, number modulus two great is equal to what? Zero. They are just single conditions. So when you have multiple conditions, you can use the logical operators to do that. Right. And you quite remember that when we were explaining logical operators, we said that and if you have true and true, the output will be what? True. This, sorry, my PC is going low. My battery is going low. Yeah, also there's no light here as well. That is so strange. I'm just at 8%. All right. So let's end here because Ghana, we are in a limited environment. We actually don't have light. So the battery that I conserved for this training is very, so you can explore, right? Logical operators and practical example, a great calculator. It's a great calculator. So this side will be, so this, we're actually left with the last concept, and then I don't know why my battery is going off. So what we'll do is that next time on our meeting, we are going to discuss loops, another interesting topic. I mean, this part of Python programming is very interesting. See, if you've gotten this far, do well to stay, because when you learn conditional expressions, when you learn loops, you learn how to create functions, and you dive into matplotlib, creating data visualizations, you get to pandas, doing data analysis, and we enter into machine learning, you'd appreciate Python a lot. Right. So for now, let me end here. I believe you guys have understood a lot. I mean, today we've explained quite a lot of concepts. So take your time, sit down and analyze. Sit down and try and understand. You get it? It's good to watch the video to get the understanding, right? You get understanding, you get a logic, and you cannot implement it in raw code by typing it yourself. Don't just watch the video and feel like, oh, well, you understand it. You can understand it, but you wouldn't be able to write the syntax. It's like someone who understands GAN, but the person can't speak GAN. The person understands the GAN, but the person can't speak it, or the person can't also write it. You get it? So please do all to watch the the videos, understand it, and I mean, you get to realize a lot. See, let me give you a secret. Let me tell you one secret. There are great accomplishments in boring things. When you are able to cultivate this habit of, or this trait, this habit of doing boring stuff, right? You get to accomplish a lot, and you get to be a different person in society, because a lot of people are avoiding the difficult, boring stuff. So once you differentiate yourself and do the difficult, boring stuff, you get to a level where the normal people can't reach. Do you get it? Good. So if you're able to learn coding, see you're on another level, right? Some people would stop because they feel like coding is not interesting. But see, when I'm teaching you coding, you can't tell me coding is not fun. It's actually supposed to be fun, right? That is when you get to understand the logic. When you get to understand the reason why this code is written, you get to understand the syntax. Everything would be what? Fun. Everything would be interesting. Right. So if you understood what I taught today, you can drop in the comment section that